Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Bill Hitchcock. It is Monday, October 20th, and we have got probably one of the most power-packed programs to get out to you. And yes, Bluefin Tuna already right off in front of Atlantic Beach area, and we've got the video to show it to you. It was sent in, and we're going to show it to you in slow-mo, and you tell me if it's a big old tuna, that's for sure. Cobia, also cobia are being caught right now, so we've got a fantastic fishing report to get out to you, which includes speckled trout and gray trout and tuna and dolphin and wahoo and albacore and drum and more drum. So we got a lot of that information to get out to you. Got a new feature we're going to start in this show. It's called North Carolina Shifting Inlets. And basically we got like 40 years of satellite imagery of all of the inlets along the coast of North Carolina. There's like, 18, 20 inlets. And we're going to show you what happens to them during that 40-year time period. It is absolutely amazing. We've got wind and sea conditions to get out to you, plus a coastal weather forecast as well. So we really looking forward to getting that out to you. But first, let's go on and jump into the wind and sea conditions and see what it's going to be like for us today and this week. All right, let's get on with the wind and sea conditions. I'd like to thank Satfish, the satellite fishing technology people, for supplying all of this information to us. It's a friendly reminder. Look up here in the top left corner. You will see where the wind speed and wind directions as I move my cursor, my hand around the various different locations. As I'm doing this on Monday morning, take a look at these winds. We're getting winds that are around 16, 17, 20 knots coming primarily out of the east down here at Cape Point. You can see 25 knots down here. Cape Lookout area around 17 knots. Cape Fear, 16, 17 knots. Really funky, dunky stuff going offshore here. That's today. All right, as you can see the timeline down here at the bottom. Let's go to tomorrow. Well, looky there. The wind shifts and it lightens up tremendously around 11 knots in the northern Outer Banks, around 8, 9 knots in Pamlico Sound. Cape Point, about the same thing. Around 10, 11 knots down in the Carteret County area. Cape Fear, around 8, 9 knots. Wednesday, what happens? Well, the wind shifts again, but it's still staying relatively light. You can see here in the Carteret County area, 10 knots up here in the northern Outer Banks, 11 knots. Pamlico Sound, 8, 9 knots. Thursday, what happens? Well, the wind's kind of shifty, not much, but you can see the wind has not really picked up. We're looking at 13, 14 knots in the Outer Banks, down here in Carteret County, around 9 knots, down here around Cape Fear, 10, 11 knots. Friday, as we reach all the way to Friday, we've got that northwesterly wind or northerly wind, depends on where you're at. Outer Banks around 8, 9, 10 knots here. Ocracoke, 10 knots. Carteret County around 8 knots. Down here in the Cape Fear region, even calmer. So it looks like Monday is our one big day for a blast of wind. Let's go on and take a look at the sea surface temperatures. Let's see if I can get the 3-day composite. Again, this is a 3-day composite. The reason why is we're trying to get rid of cloud cover because these are sea surface temperatures and the satellites will interpret clouds as the same thing as sea surface. But look at this great cool down. I'm going to zoom on in here. Albemarle Sound, the readings will be up top here. Albemarle Sound, less than 65 degrees. Pamlico Sound, 65, 66 degrees. The inshore, near shore along the northern Outer Banks, same thing, 65, 66 degrees. Now look here in the Raleigh Bay area. You see this warm water that's coming in? Remember this as we go into like January and February. This area will be the warmest waters along the coast of North Carolina during that time period. Something else I want to point out here, look at the shoals here at Cape Lookout. People have asked about water temperatures and why they change so rapidly. Look at these temperature differences. We're around 75 degrees here. As we move on in, it goes down around 72 degrees around the shoals at 70 degrees, and then it picks back up. Gulf Stream waters are 80, 81 degrees. Cape Fear, you can see this buffer here of at least 10 miles or so, about 70 degree water temperature. You get your king mackerel fishing in. Same thing here out of Cape Fear. You can see the shoals here are much cooler. They're less than 70 degrees, but once you get away from that, it'll warm on up to about 71 degrees or so. Now, let's take a look at something else real quickly here. Let's take a look at the currents. Let's take a look at some of these currents that are going on here. You see here we have the Gulf Stream. It's moving around 2 to 3 knots. That's the Gulf Stream current here. And last but not least, let's go on and take a look at these currents here. You can see, do you see this going around? This is an eddy. This is a cool water eddy as it's moving towards the left. It's pulling warm water, pulling into this way. And this is one of the reasons why we get these water temperature changes. And this is right over the Cape Lookout Shoals. All right, I'd like to thank Satfish, the satellite fishing technology people, for supplying this information to us. Visit their website at satfish.com. Satfish.com. I'm only showing you a fraction of everything they have to offer. Let's get on with the coastal weather report. This is brought to us by the National Weather Service. This is Monday's high temperatures. Look at this along the coast of North Carolina. One of the things I want to point out, like this 70-degree high that you see offshore here, that is meant for offshore. You can see this 67 here on the beach here at Hatteras. It's meant for the beach, and that 68, that's out in Pamlico Sound. So these temperatures that you will be seeing are where they are located at. Again, this is today. Let's see what happens tomorrow's highs. It warms up a little bit, but along the coast it's 68 degrees, 73 degrees offshore here, 73 degrees off of the Carter County area, Cape Fear area, 72. Go on into Wednesday. You can see the temperatures there. Let's go into Thursday. We're pretty much, it's cooled down just a little bit in the upper 60s. Friday, it looks like it's going to be in lower 60s up here. These are air temperatures again, folks, in the northern Outer Banks, 67 degrees in the Carter County, Cape Fear area. Let's zip on into Saturday. Looks like in the upper 60s to 70s down south, the mid 60s up north, and Sunday projections looks like upper 60s and up north in the 70s going on down south. Now, what are the chances of rain? Rain for, let's go bring this on back here. For today on Monday doing this, look at that. You got about a 40-45% chance of rain. You go offshore of Cape Hatteras, you got a 60% chance of rain, but the rain chances decline as you go down to the Cape Fear area. But for the rest of the week, I'm just going to zoom through it. You can see no chance on Tuesday, on Wednesday, just very little chance. On Thursday, again, very little chance. Friday, very little chance. Saturday, very little chance. All the way to Sunday, very little chance. So when you mix in these reports of how much rain, the wind dying down, and also the temperatures this coming week going into next weekend, looks like it's going to be a fantastic time to come on down to the coast and go fishing. This has been your weather report from the National Weather Service. Now, before we get started with the fishing report, and it's a fantastic fishing report, somebody posted at YouTube about the satfish. They said that they went out to a location that we talked about with temperatures, and it was not that temperature. Several things I want to bring up to you. One, that satfish, when we do the sea surface temperatures, that's a 3-day composite. And the reason why is because the cloud covers. It's reading, the satellites are reading the surface temperature. When clouds come in, it interferes and it reads the temperature off of the clouds. Also, as you saw, that these water temperatures are changing dramatically, and I can almost guarantee you if you went back to that exact same spot that you were at measuring the water temperatures, it'd be different the very next day. So there are a lot of variables. The water is moving. The Gulf Stream's moving 2.5, 3 knots. So whatever the temperature is today, and it is the time of year for transition. So whatever the temperature is today, it's probably not going to be it tomorrow. All right, let's get on with the fishing report. Lots of stuff to get out into. We're going to start off with the Nags Head Pier Saturday. It's been a beautiful morning along the pier. Anglers are catching sea mullet and sea monsters on the end. The drum fishing just hadn't stopped. It just really hadn't stopped. George Beckwith, who tragically passed away a couple of weeks ago, made a comment about a month ago, maybe even 2 months ago. Well, please someone post a picture that's not a drum. That's how good it's been. All right, Salty Waters OBX is an evening trip with my buddy Nick and Tiana, and Sons was so fun showing their boys how to cast and work a popping cork, and they caught a good number of them. The boys' excitement was the best on every fish they caught. They also said solid morning trout fishing yesterday morning for these fellas. Give a shout if you'd like to get after some trout and drum. It should only be getting better, and it will only be getting better. And Salty Waters OBX. every report we do, and he usually has a morning charter and an afternoon charter, it's speckled trout. Whatever it is he's doing, keep doing it. Congratulations. All right. Do want to bring up a little bit of news as we get into the next little bit of fishing stuff. A boat capsized last Saturday. Let me read this to you. In Oregon Inlet, it said a Pennsylvania man died and a New Jersey man was transported to the hospital after the sport fishing boat they were operating capsized in Oregon Inlet midday Saturday. It's a tragedy. Oregon Inlet is a tragedy, and you have to be very, very careful. And I want to show you this. This is Doghouse Sport Fishing out of Wanchese. Got video of him going on through Oregon Inlet. And then he says, after that big set, I was pouring the cold tour before the next one came. Big Green Girl was made specifically for this. You got us out and again, out and back again, baby. Take a look at the video. That was Doghouse Charters. One of the things you might look at it and say, well, those waves don't look that big there in Oregon Inlet. A couple of things. One, the camera always makes it look a lot smaller, but it's not necessarily how big the waves are, it's how close you are to the bottom. So when you got these swells, ground swells coming up and they shove you down to the bottom, that's when problems happen. All right, Wanchese Marina fishing report say fall fishing is at its peak. Our crews brought in limits of mahi, a few blackfin tuna, and massive sheepshead catches with citations. The inshore action stayed hot too, with plenty of speckled trout. There we go again. A few drum rounding out the day. Congratulations. All right, Oregon Inlet Fishing Center. They say grateful. A few charters got out and brought back some tuna and mahi. The winds will keep our fleet in the creek tomorrow. Ugh. That Monday, as we talked about. Give us a call and get you on a charter. Hatteras, Rodanthe Pier, Magic Dry Race Board, my favorite of all. Here's their fishing report. Drum, bluefish, spot, gray trout, water temperature at 65 degrees. We just saw that off of the Satfish report. And then they have Kevin from Virginia. Cotton released 2 nice red drum tonight. That was the other night at 47 and 45 inches. Avon Pier, they are catching them today, Saturday. Finally, some beautiful weather. All right, Carolina Girl Sport Fishing out of Hatteras. Teddy and friends fish multiple days with us every year. Today was day 1. We kept them busy cranking tuna, dolphin, wahoo, and king mackerels. Hookup charters, great fishing yesterday and today with big catches of bluefish, drum, and even a couple of bonus trout and black drum. Frank and friends out of Avon, North Carolina, say that Michelle caught some nice sea mullet on the Frank and Friends Flea Imposter rig today. We have heard of some blues and some sea mullet up and down the island, drum at the Avon Pier, blowtoes at Ramp 48, and a few puppy drum as well. Red drum bait and tackle reports Saturday. Holly and Joey Earls catching some good bluefish. Ken Daniel caught this 49-inch red drum this morning. Nice job. Spectacular. Hatteras light tackle fishing. He's always got something going on. He says, Doctor, listen to me. Mr. Wayne Eller and his son Jonathan have been fishing with me for a long time. They did not want to keep many fish, so we ended up releasing many very nice sized bluefish. Bluefish and speckled trout, that's what's been happening in the backside. Done deal sport fishing. Finally made it back offshore. Some nice mahi still around and released a sailfish. Ocracoke, trade winds, bait, and tackle. They say, oh boy, here we go. Dana Constantinus, sorry if I butchered that name, from Rock Hill, South Carolina, landed a beautiful 24-inch puppy drum on fresh mullet from trade winds, fishing the surf side in Ocracoke Island. Happy birthday, Dana. No, that's a great birthday present. Danny Manning, no, not the basketball Danny Manning, caught his first ever red drum off the beach on Ocracoke Island yesterday. Fish Ocracoke says there has been plenty of wind and drum around, but it was awfully nice to get a pretty day and get back offshore. Now in the central coastal area, viewer sent this in. This is what we want to talk about. He said, Bill, you were talking about bluefin tuna. Well, Stuart McCormick sent in this video. He says, Bill, I was fishing for Spanish and albies off Emerald Isle near the Bogue Inlet Pier when I ran up on an early arrival. He's talking about a bluefin. Was not expecting to see a 6 to 7 foot bluefin this early. He decided to get takeout and ordered a Nomad Mascad small lure that I have had a lot of success with albacore. After a 35-minute Chase, he finally got away with a free meal. Not for me. Tons of fun hanging on. Tell your viewers to take a kid fishing. Viewer sent this in, Julian, no pick, but he says, thanks for putting these reports out. Would like to share the water temperature at Atlantic Beach was 65 degrees this weekend, and sand fleas, or mole crabs, were still available on the beach. A few dozens of them to small black sea bass and sheepshead around Morehead City Bridges. Julian. Flying Tide charters out of Atlantic Beach. It's a great day of fishing today. Caught plenty of speckled trout, reds, and a few sheepshead. And the bluefish all the bluefish that you could ever want. Fishing is in full swing. Come get you some. And this week looks like the best week to go out for it. Busy day for us today. This is the day before. It had 2 trips today. First trip, we got a lemon of gray trout, some blues, and some mixed bottom fish with a bonus flounder, sadly released, understood. Second trip, we pulled in a lemon of blues, 2 being over 5 pounds, and a lemon of gray trout. Now, pardon me while I scratch my itchy back. Chasing tails out of Atlantic Beach, North Carolina. This just sums it up for what it's like in the area. It says, it's been some beautiful weather and good fishing this weekend, from chasing albies, bluefish in the ocean, to speckled trout, gray trout, and red drum in the backwaters. They also had a surprise cobia for these young anglers yesterday, that was Saturday, that weighed in at 31 pounds. Freddie and Cooper caught this fish just outside the inlet, that's Beaufort Inlet, on a live bluefish. So they've moved in for the bluefish. I do want to pass this along. Carolina Princess on the Morehead City waterfront. Been there forever, probably 50 years, 60 years, I don't even know. But the Carolina Princess has been sold and will leave the Morehead City waterfront and move up north somewhere. Captain Terrell Gould, he's been captaining it since 2006. He took over for Captain Woo Woo Harker. So the Carolina Princess is going bye-bye in November. A viewer sent this in. I asked for detail. Boy, do I get it with this one. Viewer Joey and Loris fishing from the Pungo on October 17th and 18th. Said, we fished Friday in the wind. Lori fished with her normal Z-Man diesel minnow in beer run color. I fished with Paul Brown soft dine backwater baits, purple and peanut. First drift, Lori caught first with a 16-inch drum, and me with a 19-inch trout on an MR17 Casper. Second drift, Lori caught the 24.5-inch drum, slow from then on, but managed another trout 20 inches. Day 2, as you forecasted, wind was light. I have a 19-foot bass tracker, so we could go everywhere. Lori caught several nice flounder that were released, biggest 20 inches, 2 small redfish, 2 small striped bass, and several nice trout, one on the last cast of the day. Fished a little on Sunday, 1 keeper. Weather has changed again. Yes, it has. Now, one of the things I made a slight mistake. I just want to put it in here. I made comment about the North Carolina inlets, that they're shifting inlets. It's a new feature. I want to stick it in right here. I'm going to show you Oregon Inlet, Hatteras Inlet, and I believe Ocracoke Inlet. This is satellite imagery over almost 40-year period. Came off of Google Earth. Take a look at this. righty, that's the shifting inlets of North Carolina. Sometimes they're really drastic, and we're going to keep going on down the coast of North Carolina, show you every inlet and how it's been shifting over the past about 40 years. Really living charters out of Atlantic Beach to taking youngins fishing, and limits of trout are what it's all about. Bill Collector, wahoo and tuna, Ramblin' Man sport fishing. We're fortunate to have my dad and some of his longtime firefighting buddies with us today. Fishing was a little slow for everybody today, but we found us a few nice wahoos. Bogan Pier, Saturday, looking puppy drum all over, keeping them. Everybody's excited. Fishing has been exceptional with Spanish mackerel, spots, and puppy drum, and a potpourri of species moving south. Water temperatures at 69 degrees this past Saturday, and they say so the Spanish mackerel catch season is almost over. All right, in the southern area, viewer Jonathan Crabtree from October 17th. Another detailed fishing report. He says, fishing picked up today. Finally, land lubbers even got involved. One small trout on mirror lure, then a couple of flounder. Too many lizardfish. You're flounder fishing, all right. And even a needlefish, we think. Everything under 10 feet of water in the ICW. Everything but the trout on 1/8 ounce jig head. And gulp, new penny shrimp, falling tide, and north wind. Best of day was a flounder at 19 inches, a personal best for a Tennessean. In a canoe. Might have fished longer, but it became too difficult with larger craft blowing by. Thanks to those who mind the smaller craft. Please do. If anything, it's just being nice and safe. You got a big boat, don't run them over. Jonathan Crabtree. All right, thank you, Jonathan. Von Decay out of Carolina Beach says, great day on the pond. Thanks to all our customers. We appreciate you more than you know. Johnny Mercer's Pier. Bluefish was the main dish on the menu. Jolly Roger Pier, they say, so I don't have the person's name, but it's a 3-pound, 7-ounce pompano just caught from the pier. Last night we caught big spots in Virginia mullet using bloodworms was the best bait. Early in the morning we had lots of blues hitting artificial bait. We now have jumbo bloodworms at the pier shop. Big pompano. If you've been watching the show for any time, you know that last May into last June, it was the Outer Banks, Ocracoke North, that were catching the big pompano 2 to 5 pounds. Glad to see them. It's October, but glad to see that they're showing up down south. Curie Beach Pier. Jerry Ezel of Wilmington, North Carolina, caught some mighty fine sea mullet, a.k.a. whiting, on the pier early this morning, that's Saturday. Captain Brian Pearson out of Wilmington says, we've been fishing in the Wrightsville Beach, Carolina Beach area this past week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and having some luck on red drum, speckled trout, and black drum. Captain Brian Pearson with Cape Fear Guide Service, and Captain Rosser Baxley with Cape Fear Inshore with the reds and trout caught on popping and slip cork, with live shrimp and artificial Z-Man and gulp shrimp and live mullet on Carolina rigs. Then Jacob Clayton went fishing with Captain Brian and caught the black drum as well as red drum on cut shrimp and mullet. The picture of the 4 trout on the dock were caught with a neighbor off a private dock in Carolina Beach. The largest was right under the 20-inch slot. Captain Brian Pearson. All right, OMC Fishing Adventures, Sneed's Ferry. Fun day on the Speck Bite. Come get you some. Yepper. Fish Witch Charters out of Carolina Beach. Yesterday, the boats ran a 12-hour bottom trip and an 8-hour bottom trip, catching a grouper, beeliners, grunts, and amberjacks. That's Rigged and Ready Fishing Center out of Supply. Rigged and Ready Fishing Center out of Supply. What an awesome day on the water for Glenn Woodcock Jr. and his crew. Cam, Allie, Maddie, Rebecca, and Jason. Their plan was to bottom fish, but after a few hook straighteners, they decided to troll a short stretch from 120 feet to 180 feet of water, and it paid off big time. They landed a beautiful wahoo and a solid mahi, and the wahoo was weighed right here at Rigged and Ready Fishing Center. All right. Feel Good Fishing Charters out of Wilmington. They say, we started fishing at 2 miles, then 4 miles, then 6 miles, then 8, then 10, then 12, and still no bites. And finally at 15 miles, we found some lively activity on the bottom. The water was a dirty green color all the way with no surface activity. We hooked sea bass, Spanish mackerel, white grunts, grouper, bluefish, and a few other odds and ends. And one of the morals of the story that became evident through this fishing report were people like what he just did, that they were had to go out, further out, further out, further out. The other folks deeper, deeper, deeper. And it is that time of year. Again, it's a transitional time of year. And if we showed you through the satfish, the sea surface temperatures are changing radically. And watch for the big cool down. Watch for the big cool down that's going to be going out of the Outer Banks and sneaking on down south. So if you have a fishing report, email me, billhitchcock@mail.com, billhitchcock@mail.com. If you have videos still, send them on in. Give us a detailed report. Give us some context to where you were, what you were fishing with, conditions, things like that. It doesn't matter if you're a charter boat captain, a pier, a bait and tackle shop. It doesn't matter, a professional fisherman, amateur fisherman. We've had people send in pictures that have only been fishing for a couple of months. So email me, billhitchcock@mail.com. That's all the time I have for a report today. Until next time, which will be Thursday. See ya.